Henry Turner and the Mystery of the Missing Sister. Chapter 3: Gathering Clues. Detective Henry Turner returned to his office, his mind racing with the new information. He began organizing his notes, drawing connections between Emily Prescott, Richard Hale, and Charles Montgomery. The pieces of the puzzle were scattered, but he was determined to fit them together. The first step was to interview the other guests who attended the gala. Henry reached out to Veronica King, Emily's close friend, who had been one of the last people to see her that night. They agreed to meet at a quiet cafe in the city. Veronica arrived, her eyes red from crying. She sat across from Henry, clutching a cup of tea. "Thank you for meeting with me, Detective. I'm so worried about Emily." Henry nodded sympathetically. "I understand, Veronica. Can you tell me about the gala? What did you notice about Emily that night?" Veronica took a deep breath. Emily was nervous. She kept glancing around as if she was expecting someone. She mentioned needing to talk to Charles Montgomery about something important. Henry leaned in. "Did she say what it was about?" Veronica shook her head. "No, but she seemed upset after speaking with him. I saw them arguing in a corner. After that, she tried to act normal, but I could tell something was bothering her." "Did you notice anyone else paying particular attention to Emily?" Henry asked. "Yes," Veronica said, her brow furrowing. Richard Hale seemed on edge. He was watching her closely, especially when she was with Charles. At one point, he pulled her aside, and they had a heated discussion. Henry thanked Veronica for her time and left the cafe, his mind buzzing with new leads. He needed to speak with more attendees to get a clearer picture of the dynamics at the gala. He spent the next few days tracking down and interviewing various high society members who had been at the event. One evening, he found himself at the residence of Senator William Carrington, a prominent figure who had also attended the gala. The senator welcomed Henry into his study, offering him a drink. "Detective Turner, what can I do for you?" Senator Carrington asked, settling into a leather armchair. "I'm investigating Emily Prescott's disappearance," Henry explained. "I understand you were at the gala. Did you notice anything unusual that night?" The senator rubbed his chin thoughtfully. Emily was quite popular, always surrounded by people. "I did see her having an intense conversation with Charles Montgomery. He looked rather agitated. Later, I noticed Richard Hale appeared quite distraught. He left the event early." Henry took note of the senator's observations. "Did you interact with Emily that night?" "Briefly," Carrington replied. "She seemed distracted, preoccupied with something. I wish I could tell you more, but that's all I noticed." As Henry continued his investigation, he pieced together a timeline of Emily's interactions at the gala. It was clear she had spoken to both Charles and Richard, and both encounters had been tense. The pieces were starting to form a pattern, but there were still gaps to fill. One day, as Henry was reviewing his notes, his phone rang. It was James Prescott. "Detective Turner, I just remembered something that might be important," James said, his voice urgent. "Emily mentioned a meeting with someone named Victor a few days before she disappeared. She seemed very secretive about it." "Do you know who Victor is?" Henry asked, his interest piqued. "No, I don't," James admitted, "but I thought it might be relevant." Henry thanked James and hung up, adding another name to his growing list of potential leads. He needed to find out who Victor was and what role he played in Emily's life. Henry decided to visit a few of the exclusive clubs and restaurants Emily frequented, hoping to learn more about this mysterious Victor. After several days of inquiries, he finally got a break. A bartender at an upscale lounge remembered seeing Emily with a man named Victor Larson, a known associate of Charles Montgomery. Henry managed to track down Victor Larson at a downtown bar. Victor was a slick, well-dressed man with an air of confidence. Henry approached him, flashing his badge. "Victor Larson, I'm Detective Henry Turner. I need to ask you a few questions about Emily Prescott." Victor's eyes narrowed, but he nodded. "All right, Detective. What do you want to know?" "When was the last time you saw Emily?" Henry asked, his tone direct. "A few days before the gala," Victor admitted. "We had a private meeting. She wanted information about Charles Montgomery's business dealings. She seemed desperate." "Why did she need that information?" Henry pressed. "She didn't say," Victor replied, leaning back. "But she offered a lot of money for it. I gave her what she wanted." Henry's mind raced. Emily had been investigating Charles Montgomery on her own. But why? What had she discovered that made her so desperate? As Henry left the bar, he realized he was getting closer to the truth. Emily's disappearance was tied to something much bigger than a simple socialite scandal. The web of deceit and betrayal was becoming clearer, and Henry knew he was on the right track. Back at his office, Henry laid out all the information he had gathered. Emily's nervousness at the gala, her arguments with Charles and Richard, the secretive meeting with Victor. It all pointed to a dangerous secret that Emily had uncovered. The pieces of the puzzle were starting to fit together, but there were still some missing. Henry's phone buzzed, pulling him from his thoughts. It was an anonymous tip, a text message with an address and a cryptic message. "You're getting close. This will help." With renewed determination, Henry grabbed his coat and headed out. The address led him to a remote warehouse on the outskirts of the city. As he approached, he felt a surge of anticipation. This could be the breakthrough he needed. Inside the warehouse, Henry found a series of documents and photos linking Charles Montgomery to illegal activities, confirming Emily's suspicions. But more disturbingly, he found evidence that implicated several high-profile individuals in a criminal network, including politicians and business leaders. As he sifted through the evidence, Henry realized the enormity of what Emily had stumbled upon. Her disappearance was not just a personal vendetta. It was a calculated move to silence her and protect a vast conspiracy. Henry knew he had to move quickly. The information he had uncovered put him in danger, but it also gave him the leverage he needed to expose the truth. With the pieces finally coming together, he prepared for the next step, bringing the perpetrators to justice and finding Emily before it was too late.